my downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now.
Hello everyone, dear community. A warm welcome to this new video. It's great to see you again. In today's video, I have the ultimate companion on the table, which should not be missing on any construction site. We're talking about the compact construction site radio here from Bosch, specifically the GPB 18V 2SC. We'll take a detailed look at what we can really expect from this extremely compact construction site radio, whether it's worth it or not, and who might benefit from investing in it. We'll also consider whether it might be better to go for the larger version. Let's dive into all that in today's video. Before we start, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to this channel for free and activate the notification bell to never miss a video in the future. You can find the current prices in the video description below. Thank you very much for your support, and now let's get started after the intro. In today's video, I have the powerful and at the same time extremely compact Bosch cordless construction site radio. The GPB 18V 2SC on the table. We'll take a detailed look at what we can really expect from this device in the next few minutes. For that reason, I'd say let's start right away with the product box. As you can see on the front, there's a large image of the actual radio, and down here on the left, there are further specifications. Moving on to the top, we find more features. This means you can already explain the entire radio just from the information on the product box. But I'd say let's first take a look at what's included in the package. As you can see, after opening the product box, the actual construction site radio is already right there, and behind it, also included, is the user manual in several languages. That seems to be everything included in the package at first glance. At least that's what it looks like at first. However, once we turn the radio around, we discover the rest of the package contents. Included are an accompanying power adapter and a short jack cable. But that's really all there is in the package. This means that if you don't want to operate the radio only with the included power adapter, you'll need to get additional batteries or already have them. You can find the necessary links also in the video description below for the package contents. Now, I'd say we want to take a detailed look at this fine piece. Starting with the exterior, we probably don't need to say too much about this device. Most of you probably already suspect it. The radio is typically well crafted by Bosch. It feels very, very good, has a robust plastic housing, and surprisingly, is not that heavy either. The standalone device weighs only about 2,500 grams. For those who want to use a battery, a Procore 4 ampere-hour one, the total weight comes to 3,000 grams. And for those who want to go a step further, a Procore 8 ampere-hour one, the whole weight goes to 3,500 grams, which, in my opinion, is still not too heavy. In addition, the radio is nicely compact. It has an overall length of about 350 millimeters and a diameter of about 160 to 170 millimeters. This makes it easy to store and, of course, carry around. For this purpose, we find two nicely sized and extremely robust handles positioned on the back, on the right and left, making it possible to transport the radio both horizontally and vertically. Not to forget, and in my opinion also extremely practical, on the left side of the radio, there's a large and equally robust metal hook, allowing you to hang the radio, for example, on a ladder. However, if you decide not to hang the radio and instead place it on the floor, it has 4 small feet on the bottom, as well as on the front, right in front of the display. This protects the display in case the radio tips over. Speaking of the display, before we take a look at this unit, let's first have a look at the back, because otherwise, I won't be able to turn the radio on. Here, the power supply is located. With the Bosch GPB 18V 2SC, there are exactly 2 ways to power and operate the device. Option number 1 is the included power adapter for EU, UK, US markets, which is a simple power adapter that allows us to continuously supply the device with power. Option number 2, who would have guessed, the much more enjoyable one, namely powering the radio with a battery. It's important to note that the Bosch radio can only be operated with 18-volt batteries. However, it doesn't matter whether you choose regular GBA batteries or these ProCore batteries. Personally, I would recommend using the ProCore batteries because the radio is, of course, limited in size. This means that you can't fit huge batteries into this small battery compartment. Nevertheless, the radio is designed to easily accommodate a ProCore battery with 8 ampere hours, and due to this large capacity, the radio can be operated for a considerable amount of time. For those who don't believe me, let me quickly demonstrate this. Here's the large ProCore battery with 8 ampere hours. It's inserted from the top into the battery compartment, snaps in easily and securely, and then you can easily close the battery compartment cover on the radio. And connected to that, I can say in practice, with such a large ProCore battery of 8 ampere hours, we get a lot of running time. At medium volume and with the large 8 ampere hours battery, the radio easily lasts for 2 to 3 work days, and of course, depending on the volume level you use here. But I would say 2 to 3 days are definitely sufficient. If you have more precise experiences or specific hours related to the corresponding ProCore batteries, feel free to share them in the comments below. I'm always grateful for feedback. Otherwise, what else is there to see on the back? As you can see, above the battery compartment cover, there's a collapsible antenna to ensure good reception with this radio. Not to forget, on the left side, there are additional available inputs visible under a thick cover, as the entire radio is IP54 certified, meaning it's completely splash-proof. As for the connections at the top, we have a 3.5mm aux input, allowing us to play music from a smartphone via cable. Directly below that, there's a USB-A port for charging smartphones at 5 volts and 1.2 amperes. Lastly, at the bottom, there's a power supply connection for the adapter. Now, let's move on to the front where the music plays. On the front of the radio, we find all the important controls and buttons, as well as the liquid crystal display protected by a thick plexiglass panel. After turning on the radio by pressing the large left knob once, we enter the main menu. There aren't too many settings, which, in my opinion, makes the whole display nicely straightforward. The display constantly shows us the most important information, such as the current reception mode, DAB+, the current time, the currently selected station, and don't forget the current battery level at the bottom left. The important controls are also well designed, making the radio very easy and straightforward to operate in practice. On the left and right sides, we have 2 large knobs that move smoothly. One is for adjusting the volume from 0 to 30, and on the right side, there's another knob for tuning to available stations. On the top, there are 4 buttons for 8 preset stations, double functionality, and on the bottom, there are 4 more buttons for Bluetooth mode, forward and backward, and a mute button. Regarding the operation, I couldn't find any issues with this device in practice. However, much more critical than the controls is, of course, the reception and the reception options that this radio truly offers. In this regard, it's essential to mention that there are 2 variants of this device. The Bosch GPB 18V 2C and the 2SC, which is the version currently on the table. The only difference is that this radio has, in addition to FM, Bluetooth, and aux, DAB+. I would say I can definitely recommend DAB+ to everyone. So, if you're deciding between this version with DAB+ or the one without it, I personally would suggest spending a few more euros and opting for the variant with DAB+, because in the practical test, I could receive numerous stations with this radio using DAB+, no matter where I placed it. Similarly, the radio unquestionably provides good reception in FM mode. But I would always recommend DAB+, as it allows us to easily select the available stations from the list. Alternatively, there's the additional option of Bluetooth, which enables us to play music directly from our smartphones on the device. I extensively tested this feature in practice, and I must say I'm extremely positively surprised. The connection between the smartphone and the radio was established within a very short time. Simply go to the Bluetooth function, and it automatically enters pairing mode, making the connection super easy. I even pushed the range to its limit and achieved an incredible range of 50 meters in an open field. The only downside is that if I have to cover larger distances or have many walls between me and the radio, I need to keep the phone with me. The radio is so compact that there's no way to store the phone with it. Therefore, personally, I would recommend DAB+. That covers the reception options. Now, let's take a closer look at the most important aspect of the radio. How does it actually sound? The Bosch GPB 18-volt 2SC has two speakers, each with a power of 7.5 watts, resulting in a total of 15 watts of power, and not to forget, two passive membranes integrated on the back for enhanced bass. From practical experience, I can say that the radio has a pretty good sound for such a compact device with only two speakers. I was surprised by the volume. As I mentioned, the radio has a total of 30 levels, and even at level 30, there's no noticeable distortion. However, due to the small size of the speakers, the volume is not as loud as one might wish. Nevertheless, I must say that indoors or on smaller construction sites, the volume is entirely sufficient. As for the sound quality, the little device performs quite well. Of course, we don't have a separate subwoofer for additional bass, but the radio's sound is well balanced, with clean highs and surprisingly enough bass for its compact size. Only indoors, I would try not to exceed level 26, as the highs can become somewhat harsh. However, I did not encounter this issue with outdoor use. For those who want to experience it for themselves, here's a short excerpt from the test. For the best results, please use headphones.
Till I downfall, my love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love.
Alright, that's it. I hope you enjoyed what you just heard, and it confirms what I mentioned earlier. That's why I suggest we now move on to the final conclusion. Overall, I can say that I am definitely more impressed with this small, compact construction site radio from Bosch than I initially thought. The device is super compact and handy, making it easy to carry around and place on any construction site. It's extremely robust, so even if it falls, it's not a problem. Thanks to the large 8 ampere-hour battery, we have tremendous runtime. As I mentioned, this device provides very, very good reception, meaning FM, DAB+, or Bluetooth all work without any problems. And most importantly, in terms of sound, I must also say that we have a pretty good overall package here. The only decision I would make with this device is whether you're more outdoors or indoors. For those who spend a lot of time outdoors, the radio might be a bit too quiet. Otherwise, I have to say, overall, it's a really good package. Now, I'm curious to know, what do you think of this little radio? What experience have you had with it? Feel free to write your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm looking forward to your feedback, and with that, we've come to the end of this video. If you liked it, please show your support with a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing to this channel for free and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. The current prices for both variants can be found in the video description below. Thank you very much for your attention, and until next time, take care.